How many thoughts do you think that we have in a day? 5,000, 10,000, 15,000? I was astonished when I learned this fact. We have 60,000 thoughts every single day. Can you imagine that? Our brain is constantly bombarding us with thoughts. And oftentimes they fall under the category of ants. A-N-T, ants. Automatic negative thoughts. We can't control them. We can't control our thinking. We can't control our brain. And yet so many of us try to push away, resist, get rid, or are extremely reactive to our thoughts. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean that there's a real problem, because our brain has a way of catastrophizing things. It's a defense mechanism. It's a protective mechanism designed to help us and our ancestors survive. So it will envision worst case scenario. They did an interesting study where they would track people and figure out how many of their worries or thoughts actually come true. What percentage would you guess? 50% of our worries come true? 40, 30, 70? 85%, well, I'll start with the positive. 85% of our thoughts never come to fruition. 85% of our worries, concerns, and fears never come to fruition. Just knowing that fact can help you relax and not take your thoughts and thinking so seriously. 10% of the thoughts happen, but not nearly to the degree that we thought. It's not as bad as we thought. And then 5% of our worrisome thoughts or fearful thoughts or catastrophizing thoughts actually come to fruition. And oftentimes we're able to handle it, we're able to manage it, and it's not as much of a catastrophe as we thought, even when the thing we fear comes to fruition or comes to pass. And that brings immense amount of comfort. Now, it's hard to feel comfort and confident when your brain is going through it. And I'm a life coach, have been doing it for 11 years. And one of the things I've gotten good at coaching people is how to manage their anxiety, how to manage their worrisome thoughts, how to stay grounded and centered. Now, to one degree or another, we all struggle with anxiety. I struggle with anxiety. And the key is not getting rid of it, because it is designed to protect us. What we want to do is learn how to manage it and learn so it doesn't become dominant in our lives. And when processing these thoughts, or when these thoughts come to pass, it's especially if it's something serious. If there's something serious that you're really worried about, aren't the birds lovely? You don't need to travel very far to be in nature. And when something is coming up, like one of my clients, he has a wedding coming up, and he's really worried about that. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of concerns. There's things that could go wrong. And when you have those types of thoughts, what we want to do is I came up with this acronym, AIA. And the first thing is, I'd say if we were going to go for like 95% of our thoughts are noise. All right. But let's just say 20% of them, 15% of them, we need to take semi-seriously. And so what you want to do, the first part of that acronym, A, is take action. And that's one of the things that I advised him is, if you're worried about the wedding and worried about, like, let's say you're worried about not having enough food, or you're going to have too many people or not enough people, or the food's not going to be to your liking, or there's not going to be enough alcohol, take out a piece of paper, or if you have a to-do list, and start writing out action items. And that's the first part of the acronym. A is take action. So many times when my clients, or when I have a thought, it's a call to action. It's a call for us to do something. And planning, making a plan, coming up with solutions, coming up with things like if he's worried about not having enough food for the wedding, calling the caterer and asking, hey, can you prepare a little bit extra just in case? How much would that cost? Or double checking your reservations with your confirmation from guests that you think are 50-50 about arriving. And that will help to relax the mind, because what our brain does, it sends us a signal. It's like a little alarm. Hey, this is something I'm worried about, and I want you to do something about it. And what most people try to do when they have worries, fears, or anxiety is they try to resist it. They stuff it. They try to make it go away by distracting themselves, numbing themselves out through alcohol, through food, through internet, through their phone. And so many of my clients' anxiety is reduced simply by taking action. Procrastination leads to anxiety. And we think procrastination, we're anxious and that's why we procrastinate. I think the reverse is true. We procrastinate and that's why we're anxious, because it's signaling to our brain, hey, something important is not being dealt with and taken care of. And so that's why just simply by taking action, and even if it's small steps and you're just chipping away at whatever goal or task or thing that you want to accomplish, really helps to alleviate procrastination and the anxiety. And you get a real nice sense of accomplishment. So the first part, A, take action if it's an actionable item. And a lot of the things that we do worry is some of the major stuff, if we're going to say that 15% of the stuff that comes true, or if we just, let's say we applied the 80-20 principle. 20% of our thoughts, our worries, our concerns have 80% impact on our life. 80% of our thoughts, worries, and concerns are just noise. They're automatic negative thoughts, those ants, and that we can ignore them. But writing these things out makes a huge difference. And even if the action is just journaling about it, I really encourage clients to make journaling a daily practice, even if you only do it for 5 minutes. It has such a huge impact. It's like cleaning out the house for mental clutter and for the worries, fears, and concerns. It's like a spring cleaning. And if you do it on a daily basis, a regular basis, you're not accumulating stress and anxiety and worry and bring it in day after day to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. You're dealing with it, you're managing it, and you're not trying to numb it out, stuff it, or just hope that it goes away. Now, there are certain things that, we'll get to that in the second part of the acronym. The next part is the I. And this is where I said the 80%. 80% of our thoughts and our worries and our fears and concerns, we could just ignore, because the likelihood of them coming true are very minimal. And so when you're going through the thoughts and the thinking and the worries and fears are coming out, you could just simply ignore them and go, you know what, that's just static. That's just noise. Like if you're in the middle of the desert, in the middle of somewhere, and you're on a radio, trying to tune the radio to get a station, and it's all it is just static. And you just ignore the static. But one thing is good is just to acknowledge it. Hey, my brain whose thoughts I can't control, and that's a big thing, that when we try to control our thoughts, or try to resist our thoughts, we are going to amplify and increase anxiety. And so you don't want to fight with those thoughts. You just want to acknowledge them and deal with them, and ask the question. One of the questions that I've come up with for my clients is, when you have a fearful, worrisome thought, ask the brain, or the judge or inner critic's beating you up. Ask yourself this question, or ask that part of your subpersonality this question: what do you specifically want me to do? So if your brain is beating you up because you're worried about, you have a big exam, or you have a big meeting, or you have a presentation to give at work, and your brain is worried and fearful and concerned about it, ask it, what do you specifically want me to do? And I have a client that would give presentations, but would always have high levels of anxiety. And she had a bad experience with one presentation that didn't go well. So when she would have a presentation coming up, she would ask her brain, that subpersonality that's stressing her out, what do you specifically want me to do? And one of the things we came up with is, well, a lot of things we came up with is know the material, spend time studying the material. And that brought her a sense of calm and relief. The second thing was record yourself. Do a video recording of you giving practice presentations. And that lowered her anxiety and her stress. The next thing was rehearse it in front of somebody that you can get constructive feedback. So you know their opinion and you get somebody else's input on the presentation you're about to give. And that helped to reduce the anxiety. And so a lot of these things, anxiety we have, and stress is because we're not clear on what needs to be done, and our brain has like, oh, I'm just stressed out. Try to pinpoint it and get specific. And if it's something that it's out of your control, or it's just that mental noise, or it's old fears that it's not based on facts, your mind is just giving you thought distortions, you can ignore it. But it's helpful to acknowledge it and go, oh, okay, my brain is telling me this, and it's nothing I can do about it. It's nothing serious, or it's not something that I want to take action on. It's an irrational fear or worry. I can ignore it. That's the second step. So ignores the second one, and the third one is accept. And this might be the toughest one for a lot of people. And our brain, again, 60,000 thoughts per day. Of course, because our brain is focused on the negative in order to protect us, a majority of those are going to be negative. That's just the price of being human. And what we want to get good at is just accepting things that are outside of our control, accepting things that we just simply can't do anything about, accepting the way we are, because so much of our stress and fears and worries just become, we don't accept who we are. We don't accept how our bodies look. I have clients who think they're socially awkward and they can't accept it. And the clients that I work with that do accept their social awkwardness, or they think they're boring, or they think they're not intelligent, it brings great mental equanimity, peace. There is something so relaxing and transformative. It's just accepting yourself flawed, dysfunctional, neurotic, irrational, making mistakes, getting rejected, failing. That's what it means to be human. Now, as long as it's not extreme and it's manageable, then there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is who I am and I'm going to accept myself, unless you want to put the time, energy, and effort into changing. And one of the things that also comes up in coaching is a lot of people will put inner pressure on themselves and beat themselves up because they want to change a particular part of their personality. Like, I have a client that felt like she's not intelligent enough. Like in conversation, she doesn't know about worldly events. She doesn't know about history. She doesn't know about a lot of things that people talk about. And one of the realizations we came to, as I asked her, is, are you willing to put the time, energy, and effort to spend an hour to 2 hours a day reading books, educating yourself, putting in the legwork in order to feel more confident in these areas, and you'll have better discussions, and it'll make you feel more intelligent or more confident. She said, no, I'm not willing to put that time, energy, and effort into it. And yet, when you are not willing to pay the price, what's the point in beating yourself up? And that's where acceptance comes in. Just saying, hey, I'm not willing to do the work. I'm not willing to go to the gym because it's going to take too much time, energy, and effort. So I'm just going to accept the body I have. I'm not willing to give up my junk food and clear my house of all junk food. So I got to make peace that I am going to be overweight. There's a cost benefit to everything. And if you're not willing to pay the cost, what is the point in worrying or stressing or creating anxiety or beating yourself up and just judging yourself all the time if you're not willing to pay the price? So acceptance, hey, these are things that are limiting about myself, and I'm going to just accept them and allow myself to be human. And I think that's what really people struggle with, is not accepting that we're human and that we are really flawed. that we all have issues, we all have things we struggle with, we all have anxieties, we all have worries, we all have fears, and there is such peace in accepting your humanity. And you become less judgmental with yourself and less judgmental with other people, because we're that inner critic. If we're very harsh on ourselves, the likelihood is we're very judgmental towards other people. And just releasing that negative energy and saying, you know what, the world isn't perfect, and that's okay. I don't want to get caught up in the internal drama or project that drama outside of myself. And the other important thing with stress, worry, fear, and anxiety is just allow yourself to think of it as a storm coming in. It's amazing. There's always, like now, there's always some type of noise just to test me, to see that I could keep focused on the video and I'm not going to get distracted by the noise. And focus is a really important thing, and that's where meditation is a great practice. So the last thing, and we'll wrap this up, is not allowing yourself to so I am getting a little bit distracted. Hang in there with me. Not allowing, or allowing the storm, allowing the storm to pass. When we get anxious, worried, or stressed, it's this, like a wave, this wave that comes in, and the energy is quite intense. It's hard to resist. It's hard to fight. And a lot of people will really struggle and amplify their stresses and worries and concerns because they're trying to do battle when their worries or fears are at its peak. And it's really challenging to do battle with things when they're at its peak. You want to just let the storm pass over you. Things always have a way to work out. I've had so many clients that will have they'll need an urgent session because they have something that's really stressing them out, and we'll have a short session just to kind of recenter themselves. And once the thing that they've been fearing comes to pass, they're like 9 times out of 10, if not more, it's like, oh my God, it wasn't even that bad. I don't know what I was so worried about. And so just know, this too shall pass. And that brings great comfort and inner peace. And really, in my coaching practice, when I'm coaching clients, that's what it's all about. What do we all want? We don't want millions of dollars. Yes, people want millions of dollars. I get that. But people wanting to be famous, want to be rich, want to be powerful, want to accumulate a lot of material possessions. But what for? What's the end game? The end game is people just want to be at peace. They want to be content. They want to be happy. They want to have a sense of fulfillment. And acceptance is a great way to get there. It's like a shortcut. You don't need to go through all the work of accumulating a lot of money or working 60, 70 hours a week. So to wrap up, AIA, action. If you're worried about a fear, action. And try not to do this in your head. Try to write it out. You take action on the thought. If it's the 80% that's usual mental noise or automatic negative thoughts, you can ignore it. And the last one is accept it. Hey, if you want really effective life coaching that will change the course of your life, send me an email in the description. It's incredibly affordable. I have students that do life coaching and benefit from it. And it really means a lot to me for all of those that take time to leave a comment in the description. And I'd like to hear how you have applied AIA, or how you think AIA would impact your life, and how you manage your fears, stress, or worries successfully. And so if you like more of these types of videos, please like and subscribe if you want to. And if you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link in the description. Thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate all your support, and I look forward to the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.